because he was the family's primary breadwinner, which I think it's important to note that absenteeism in Armenia has gone up tremendously as a result of the economic downturn. There was a recent UNICEF report that talked about absenteeism going up in 3 years, like 250% in Armenia, and that has very much to do with children basically working as opposed to going to school, and that was certainly the case in this family's case. They lived in this house that had nothing but basically this one stove and a couple of bed frames with no real mattresses or bedding. This is Narine. She is also featured on the cover of my book. Again, this was another domestic violence situation where Narine fled a violent husband and moved with her 3 kids to this dilapidated place. Just recently, I should say, domestic violence has become a hot-button topic in Armenia because many of you maybe have seen on Facebook or YouTube, a young woman was actually murdered recently as part of a domestic violence situation. Her husband and mother-in-law killed her after years and years of beating. Her name is Zarogi Petrosyan, and many of the NGOs, including the United Nations in Armenia, banded together and really started to sort of make a lot of noise about this issue. And just this past week, there was a major domestic violence-related campaign. The most recent statistics say that about 1/3 of women in Armenia report being victims of domestic violence, so 33% of the population, 33% of women. And 2/3 say that they have been a victim of psychological abuse. So it's affecting many, many women in Armenia. And so, again, poverty, one thing I really learned on this project, that poverty is really not just about economics. It's very much about psychological issues, emotional issues, and really the breakdown of the family in Armenia. This is Narine's daughter, so the woman with the accordion. This is her daughter, Gohad. This is basically where the children bathe every day. The family doesn't have a proper bathroom, so they bathe in this outside tub. This was kind of a controversial image, because, as if the other ones are not, but this one was particularly controversial because myself and the team of creative people I worked with on this project about 8-9 months ago when we had an exhibition, decided collectively to use this as the symbol of the project and the symbol of poverty in Armenia. And the reason is, there are many reasons, I mean, some artistic reasons, but also because we found that over and over again, we realized that this was very much a faceless and a voiceless issue in Armenia, and this picture symbolizes that. It's kind of one of those images that caused some people to just want to look away, which again symbolizes what sometimes we have been doing on this issue, is to want to look away. And so we decided to use it, and some of the Armenian newspapers ran it on the front cover, and you know, it kind of caused kind of a big stir. Because for obvious reasons, it also looks like a corpse, even though it's not a corpse. It's she's a real person. There she is. She's very much alive. And this is basically where her mom bathes her every day. Narine, her mom also does all of her laundry here. She mentioned that she tries to do her laundry at night because she doesn't have enough money for laundry detergent. She's embarrassed that the neighbors are going to see her poorly washed laundry. So there were these amazing moments of dignity that I witnessed in these situations, you know, worrying about how your laundry looks, you know, in a situation like this. Really, it just was hard to hear that, just in terms of how much people were holding on to their dignity in these situations. This is a family in Gerat, about 30 or so, 40 minutes outside of Yerevan. Their issue is housing. So many people live in metal shipping containers called domiks. Most of the reason for that was the earthquake, which affected, as you know, Gyumri and Spitak and Vanadzor, and many people who lost their homes started to live in domiks, these metal shipping containers. People who lost homes were supposed to receive a home. Many of them still haven't. And when was the earthquake? 89? 89? 88. December of 88. So some people are still living in these metal shipping containers since 88. This is not one of those families, but this is a good example of like the type of sort of shack type environment. This other issue with this family is healthcare. The little girl on the left is Ani. She had this awful respiratory disease because of how cold it gets in this space at night. And the father, Senik, who's on the right, was telling me that the water freezes inside during the winter. And so this family of 4 kids, mother, father, basically live in this space, and then Ani, they kind of took her to several hospitals trying to get her this treatment that she needed, and many of the doctors didn't treat her because this family was indigent, they couldn't pay for it. In fact, she was even put under anesthesia once and then sent home when they found out that the family couldn't pay. Despite the very sad story, this family is doing much better now. The Habitat for Humanity and the Fuller Center for Housing came together and actually built them a home. And they were able to do that because this family had land that they could use. And you'll meet them in the video, you'll see the home that they're now living in, and they're doing much, much better. Again, I think this family, the reason they were able to pull themselves out of poverty is because this family is a whole family. There's a mother, a father, there's a lot of love in this family and a lot of sort of banding together, sticking together, even in sort of the bad times. So I think with this family, it was in a way easier to help them and pull them out of their economic situation because of the loyalty and closeness within the family members. So before I go on, this is the last image I'm going to show. That was 15 photographs. The rest are all in the book, and as well as the accompanying stories. Back in March 26th, an exhibition opened of these images. It was called How We Live, and it was funded by the Tufekyan Foundation. As you can see in this photograph, it's a big warehouse space where this exhibition happened. And it was curated by a very good friend of mine and a brilliant architect, Narina Mirzayan, who, this is basically her brainchild. I kind of gave the project over to her, and it was this amazing collaboration between myself and Narina. She is currently an architect with Frank Geary's firm here in Los Angeles, and volunteered her time to put together this exhibition. She curated it, she designed it, and it came from her brain into this warehouse space, basically. And until today, I'm still amazed by it. There were 40 screens, translucent screens, that were hung in a warehouse space by an intricate network of ropes. And so it wasn't about looking at an image on a wall that you might do in a photography exhibit, you walk around and you see. It was really about engaging, walking through, feeling. I mean, if you look at images that are life-size, even larger than you, it's kind of hard to ignore. And so you were able to sort of walk through this space. Was there anybody here who was there by any chance? Yes, some people actually experienced it, and I think I see Nadina back there. Okay, yeah, she's back there. Can you just wave? I know, I'm sorry. Didn't want to put you on the spot, but so the idea was to really engage the people and the stories in these images. And so many of the photographs you just saw there's the picture of the legs, and that's an image from the top. It got some great reviews. We were even covered by NPR. Shirley Jahad of NPR did a story on it. And many arts institutions also reviewed it, and it was kind of all over. So it wasn't just a exhibition, in our community. It kind of went outside of our community's borders. So this one I just added this morning. So this is kind of a fun little good news. The image on the cover of of the book actually won a UN award last week. The United Nations had this contest for photographs